just wanted to jump on here and record a little bit because the last couple of days I haven't recorded anything in a while. And by the way, I'm like literally on my way to work out, so sorry for the lack of put togetherness. But there were a couple of things that I wanted to kind of talk about that have been happening and that I've been feeling. And since this is just sort of a log of the whole process and what you might experience as you go through it, or if you're just interested in like what I'm doing, I just kind of wanted to share. So number one, the biggest thing that we've been doing over the last couple of days is starting to figure out tiles. So I know I told you the scene was starting to come together. We were starting to place objects that I'd made, like it was starting to fill up, and that is all very true. But we were doing that just sort of like in a visual sense using whatever version of Procreate Matthew's using. He's not on an iPad. Sorry, that hair is making me crazy. He's not on an iPad. He's on something else, so he's not using Procreate. I'll have to figure out what he's using, but basically we were placing the objects in there and that was going great. But we have to start actually tiling out the project, which I am excited about. We started like designing what the level would look like and all of that, and that went really well. Was super excited, but then we had to actually create the tiles for it, and we are learning a lot. Number one, the whole business of tiles, if you have not made them before, a little bit mind-boggling. Now I'm starting to get quite the hang of it. Like I feel like it's something I'll be able to do pretty confidently as we move forward, but the biggest issue is that we're not exactly sure. Like we're trying to figure out how to make it so that the black space, aka the portion of the stage that turns away from where you stand on. So for example, silver stands here, you have the drawn part of your tile here, and then there's like blackness underneath it, which you place a lot of objects over. For example, right now we're working on an underwater scene, right? So we have like sand, bedrock looking kind of stuff, and then blackness over which we're going to put algae and coral and all of the assets and stuff I've been drawing. So that's what we're working on. But basically the issue is how we currently have it. If you put all the objects together in a square, which is kind of how you're supposed to do it in your tile map in Unity, or at least that's kind of what I'm seeing, all of the black joins up, which is good, but at the corners, basically our heights are wrong. So they don't actually make the corner that we need to. So like our ceiling right now, how do I even describe this? Right now, if I put them together in a square, they form a square, but the black is on the inside, right? So the ceiling of the tile, so the top middle one, if we have like top left, top middle, top right, middle, bottom right, middle, bottom left, middle. I don't know if that makes any sense, but basically if we do all of that, then right now our floor is our top middle tile, which doesn't make any sense because obviously it needs to work as a floor and be our bottom middle tile. But where we have the black and the way that we have the heights of everything connecting, that's kind of how everything is worked out. So we're having to restructure those, which is just a lot of like understanding things, and my spatiality is not great. I think I've mentioned that before when we were talking about how to make objects look 2D as opposed to having any sort of dimension or depth to them. So we're figuring that out, but that's been just a little bit like, I don't know, Matthew and I always jokingly feel like our brains are melting a little bit when we're trying to learn something super new like this. So that's been wild, and we're working on it. But I will say, I think it's really starting to come together, and I'm sure I'll keep saying that because every day we learn new stuff. So in addition to that, basically what I am currently working on is we have our meeting with the composer on October 1st. I'm like having allergies today too. And I'm really excited about that, and we'd started working together, like putting together a proposal for how much we'll pay him that would be fair, but also like, you know, obviously we're just a startup company, so we want to do something that's fair and values his work for how much it's worth and the good work and time he's going to put in. But also, obviously, this is our first game. And so I really wanted to get an idea of, how that's going to work and what our expected profit margins are and everything. And, I think that's why I feel a little bit down right now, is because looking through all of those, it's so wildly varied. Like, I don't know if, I don't remember the exact site. I'll try to remember to link it below. But there's basically a site that tells you 50 games like X, and you put in whatever game you want, and then you get to see 50 games that are like it. And so I put in some of the ones we've been modeling ours after and taking inspiration from, so like Hollow Knight and Shantae and Monster Boy and Ori and all of these really beautiful 2D platformers that have had some success. And then looking through the 50 games that are like each of those, there are some pretty good games in there. And then I was pairing that with a revenue search, right? Just sort of on a general, I think it's through Steam or something. There's some site that generally tells you an estimate of the revenue. And the range is insane. Like, there are perfectly good games with some slightly strange stylistic choices, like not quite as mainstream as I feel like we're trying to go with our visuals, that have made like $12,000 or like $13,000. And obviously that is not what we're going for. We are going for the big bucks. We're going for a big release with lots of excitement, lots of downloaded copies, whatever. Because right now, I would already say we've put in hundreds and hundreds of hours. And I know that by the end it's going to be thousands. And so the idea of making, let's say we spend, I really would need to do the math on this, but let's say that we spend 5,000 hours on this or something like that. I don't think that's unrealistic. I'd have to do the math, of course, to just make sure, but right now I'm probably spending 6 hours a day on it, more on weekends, 12 on weekends, and so that could add up really quickly, because that's, someone do the math for me. But anyway, let's say we spent $5,000 and we made $15,000. Like, I have no interest in making $3 an hour. Not for something that is beautiful and heartfelt and we're passionate about, like, making incredible. Like, that would be so incredibly devastating. Not even just from like a time sink perspective, but also just from I would want more people to discover the game. So, number one, I know we're going to have to do a great job with marketing. And that's something that in my current job I have a little bit of experience with. But I certainly have never marketed a game. And, of course it depends. But I don't think we have interest in working with a publisher either. Now, that being said, we would love to be a good enough and popular enough game with enough of an audience that a publisher would want to approach us. That would be awesome. But I don't know if we'll end up working with one unless it's the only way. Because I do feel like we both have good heads on our shoulders, and from the literature and stuff I've been reading, like, I just don't know if it will be a good fit for us or not. But anyway, I'm just, looking at that range has been so interesting, because I know in my heart that this is going to be an awesome game, that this is a game that I would want to play, that, it's something to be excited about and something worth spending time on. But I also want to make sure that, like, we do the things that are different. Sorry, there's a one-way road with a dog in the road. There we go. Okay. So anyway, I'm trying to do everything so right to make sure that we get the people who love this game as much as we do. And I really hope that if anyone ever sees this, you guys obviously will be some of our top people that we'd love to have play the game and love it and everything, because you followed along on this journey. And so, if I don't even know. I don't even know what I'm trying to ask or say or anything like that, but I just basically wanted to get on here because I like to show the highs and the lows. And this isn't a low or a high, but it's just sort of a way that I'm feeling today that's not as A+ or optimistic as some of the other days, and yet we've been making great progress. So whatever that is, just know, even when things aren't necessarily hard, you may not feel 1,000,000% as you're going through this. You may have moments where you lack a little bit of confidence about it, and I think that's okay. But I mean, not that I'm an expert by any means, but anyway, I will talk to you guys later. I'm just about to get to where I need to be for my tennis match. So hope you're all having a great day, and hopefully the next time I jump on, I'll have some piece of really exciting news and not just sort of like, hey, this is the harder side of making a game, and you're going to think about a lot of stuff, and sometimes you're going to question things. Now, questioning things does not mean that this game is not going to exist. In fact, I don't see a world where it doesn't. But I just kind of wanted to come on here and say, like, in the midst of creating this game that will exist, you might, feel this way sometimes. So, hope you guys are having a great day, and I will talk again soon.